I voted for Donald Trump.
Okay. What were you excited about when you cast that vote?
I'm just going to pull the pin on this grenade and let it go. I think there are large swaths of our society and our government that are dysfunctional for a whole host of reasons. And maybe it's time to burn the house down. Figuratively.
Wow.
Maybe we're doing too much. And if we could back off with our government and let the common citizen make more of their own decisions, then I can do whatever I want to do and I can sink or swim at it. And my neighbor can do the same thing.
All right. Let's talk about the election. Who'd you vote for?
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September's upon us, harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field. Historically, over the last 5 years, about a third of soybean sales to China would be booked. China amounts to 25% of our total U.S. soybean crop. So that would be 8 or 9% of the whole U.S. crop would normally be on the books with China right now, and we have 0. That is alarming. The farm economy as a whole is struggling. Inflation has caused our cost of production to rise drastically on every front. Commodity prices, in particular soybeans, are down about 50% from where they were 3 years ago. And our numbers are deeply in the red. And we send this letter to President Trump because we've been talking for months about needing to have sales in place, a deal in place, a phase 2 type agreement that has purchase commitments along with a level playing field on trade with no tariffs. And we haven't had anything happen, unfortunately. And our appeal to President Trump and his administration is make soybeans a priority in any trade negotiations that are taking place. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China. And in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had as American farmers. And they're critical.
Yeah, so if we look at, and we're going to divide. So I'll stay with grain and oilseeds because that's what I do day to day. But I just have to say one thing about livestock. For livestock folks, we're in good world for them right now. So I'd love to be able to have as good a world that they're having in GNO, but we just don't. And so there's just so many things, and it's really a supply story this year. When you think about across the globe, we haven't had a year where every country's almost in all 8 cylinders where we're getting full production. And that's where we are right now. It's also too a bit of a dichotomy in the US is that you've got, we're building corn stocks, but the world is not. It's just the opposite in soybeans, where the world's building soy stocks and we're not. And so it's a very weird world, but the fact is we just have so much supply in the world, that's just going to keep prices, really on the defensive.
Farmers for Trump thought they were voting for a man who would fix everything. They packed the rallies, wore the hats, and shouted about draining the swamp, convinced that tariffs and tough talk were going to bring back the good old days. But fast forward to September 2025, I look around. Markets are gone, equipment prices are through the roof, families are literally begging for help just to keep their land. Some are facing bankruptcy, some are dealing with tragedy, and some guy they trusted is nowhere to be found. And here's the kicker. This isn't just first time. They lived through the first Trump term, watched neighbors lose farms back then, and still lined up to vote for him again. They heard the warnings, they heard the economists, they heard other farmers saying don't fall for it, but they choose to double down. Today's video is pure FAFO energy. We are reacting to farmers who proudly backed Trump, now realizing the very policies they cheered for are crushing them. No excuses, no sympathy, just the hard truth of what happens when loyalty to a politician matters more than reality. So buckle up, because what you are about to hear from these farmers is brutal, and the reactions are even sharper. So let's go into the video.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
All those farmers that were for Donald Trump, they thought that he was going to be the one to help them, despite the fact that he massively f***ed them all like really bad when he was president the first time. They think he's going to do, all of a sudden, this time he's going to be better. Like the first time he really screwed you guys over. The guy in office now has made you guys billions and billions of dollars and has helped you out in so many different ways. And Kamala was going to do the same. But you didn't vote for that, right? You voted for the guy that has already f***ed you, right? That's what you decided to go for, right, farmers?
Look at this. These farmers literally saw the disaster happen the first time. They watched neighbors lose everything. They saw equipment go up in price, market dry up, and the pain it caused families. And yet, here we are in 2025, and they did it all over again. They voted for the same policies, the same politician, the same promises that failed them before. It's mind-blowing. They weren't tricked, they were warned. Economists said it, other farmers said it, and even the headlines screamed it. But somehow, loyalty to Trump outweighed common sense. And now, they are shocked, struggling, desperate, are looking for a handout that aren't coming. That's the FAFO energy right there. Vote for the disaster, leave the disaster. This isn't about luck or bad timing. This is pure cause and effect. They doubled down on the same prey, hoping maybe this time it would work out. And now, reality is hitting harder than ever. The question is, will they learn from it? Or is this cycle going to continue until it wipes out the next generation? It's brutal, but that's what makes it worth watching. There is hard lesson here about blind loyalty and ignoring the warning sign. They made their choices, and now the consequences are on full display. No excuses, no sympathy, just pure FAFO.
So let me get this straight. The farmers of Arkansas are asking the federal government for handouts, for checks, because they are struggling financially because of the tariffs and other policies of Donald Trump. They can't sell their soybeans and other goods into foreign countries like China because of the tariffs. They're now too expensive for them to be able to sell them into China because of the retaliatory tariffs. And they can't afford equipment. They can't afford the high rising prices of equipment because of other tariffs on goods and manufacturing and raw material and everything like that. And they are saying they have never seen it this bad. There was a farmer who's in his 39th season of farming, and he says he has never seen it this bad. He literally said, Donald Trump, you said you love us, but I'm not seeing the fruits of your love. What the fuck? Arkansas farmers, and they're saying, of course, it's affecting everywhere else. We saw Nebraska was having problems, facing bankruptcy. Farmers across this country are facing a huge pinch, and a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump and his policies. Well, you should have thought about that, farmers for Trump, when you went into the voting booth and places like Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska went ruby ass red in 2024 in November. You guys made your bed, you fucked around, and now you're finding out. So yeah, the fruits of Donald Trump's love are rotten pieces of shit. If you didn't know that going in, you know it now. So as your farm continues to struggle and you're looking for a socialist handout, why don't you try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps that you preach to everybody else about and do something about it? Because frankly, the rest of the country doesn't give a damn anymore. You should have thought about that before you sold the rest of us down the river.
So all during the election, we tried to tell the farmers, but they didn't listen. And now that they're at the FAFO stage, they think we should bail them out. Well, Pumpkin, why don't you just pick yourself up from your bootstraps? It would be communist of you to take my taxpayer dollars. Maybe you should have listened to the women who were telling you this was going to happen and done some fucking research. And although now it's a little too late to do anything about it, I advise you still do a little bit of research so you know what's coming down the pike, because they ain't done with you yet. And this comes from Project 2025, by the way, the thing that is almost 50% complete that he denied having anything to do with. But go to your little Google and type in Acre Trader and J.D. Vance. So take that hand that's out asking for my money and put it back in your pocket. You are getting exactly what you voted for. You did this to you. And as far as I'm concerned, you're getting everything you deserve.
And here we go. This woman is calling it exactly how it is. These farmers were warned. They were told, they were advised, and they chose to ignore it. And now, guess what? FAFO in full effect. Policies that were supposed to help them, promises that sounded good on paper, and tariffs that were supposed to bring prosperity, all of it has backfired. And they are feeling the pain firsthand. It's almost surreal to watch. They thought pride and loyalty would shield them from consequences, but the math doesn't lie. Markets crash, costs go up, and families suffer. You can't argue with reality. Doesn't care about votes or slogans. And yet, some still act like this came out of nowhere. This is what makes FAFO content so satisfying. People make decisions based on blind faith or political loyalty, and then reality smacks them in the face, watching them scramble, beg, and try to cope while having ignored all the signs is a lesson in accountability. And the harsh truth, no one's coming to save them. No sympathy, no bailouts beyond what's legally required. They made their bed back in November 2024. Now it's time to lay in it. That's the cold reality of FAFO and its plural. Let's continue.
I feel like this is the perfect time for me to talk about this as I wear a John Deere t-shirt. I am engaged to a 6th-generation farmer who is a liberal, who has never voted for a Republican. And I personally do not feel bad for the Arkansas farmers. Who I do feel bad about is farmers in general, because there is this mindset that all farmers are conservative Republicans, and that is simply not the case. I grew up, my grandfather was a farmer, so I know about farming. I always have. But watching my fiance love farming with all of his being, it genuinely breaks my heart, because I know that there are people who pay attention, like my fiance's parents, who do not support Donald Trump because he does not do anything to support farmers, actually. It's really sad because he wants his buddies to buy your family farm for pennies on the dollar. He wants these big corporations, these private equity firms that J.D. Vance is involved with, to buy your family farm from out from under you for pennies on the dollar. That's what he wants. That's what it was. It was very obvious, but y'all just didn't listen. And I feel bad for us. I do not feel bad for you, because we are now the collective and you fucked us over.
And there it is. Farmers who proudly voted Trump now living the consequences. Markets gone, equipment unaffordable, families struggling, and some even facing the real tragedy. All the warnings, all the signs, all the advices, they ignored it. And now, FAFO has full delivered. It's harsh, but it's real. This isn't about luck or timing, it's about choices. They voted for a man who who promised to fix everything, and the results exactly the opposite. When loyalty to a politician outweighs reality, the only thing coming back is consequences. And it's not just about these farmers. This is a lesson for anyone who thinks that blind faith can shield them from reality. Every choice has a price, every vote has a weight, and ignoring the signs doesn't make the crash any less brutal. The first time should have been a warning, but for some it wasn't enough. So what now? They face the hard truth, tough losses, and the long road to recover. All because they didn't see the FAFO moment coming. No excuses, no pity. The lesson is clear. Action have consequences, and the reality doesn't negotiate. If this video hit the way it should, it's a reminder. Pay attention, think for yourself, and never ignore the warning signs. FAFO moment doesn't wait, and trust me, this one's going to be talked about for a long time. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed seeing these farmers get paid by the very policies they shared for, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Keep your eyes open, because next FAFO moment could be anywhere, and you don't want to be caught off guard. See you to the next one. I love you, wish you peace, and love. Bye-bye.